No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. With me, myself, and I'm your host, Drew Mandel, flying solo tonight on this Friday night, the 15th of April, as we talk about the Winnipeg Jets dropping a 6-1 decision in Sunrise, Florida, a one-sided game, to put it simply, as the Jets were outclassed and outmanned by a very impressive Florida Panthers team. Nice to see so many familiar faces. It's been a while. I was away. I hope that Dave and Ezzy and all the special guests that joined them last week kept you guys in good company, but I'm thrilled to be back, and we promise that one day soon, Dave, myself, and Ezzy will all be back together again. It has been a while, the way the schedule has worked. I was in New Orleans last weekend. I don't know if y'all have been there before, but let me tell you, it was far more entertaining being in New Orleans than it was watching tonight's Winnipeg Jets game against the Florida Panthers. Let me get into the mood, given that, I was away, and also let me just put on my Mardi Gras mask. Jets fans might want to wear things like this going forward, given how the team is struggling. If you don't have a paper bag available with the eye holes cut out of it, then maybe you can use one of these New Orleans Mardi Gras masks that I picked up for my kids. Wonder what it'll do to the audience if I wear this for the next 30, 45 minutes or so. In any event, I wanted to just don this briefly before we get into talking about the Winnipeg Jets, before we get into talking about what was a one-sided game, about what was a men against boys sort of situation earlier tonight in Sunrise. I can't even get upset anymore. I know that many of you in the audience, and nice to see you all, smash the like button. You guys know what you have to do here. We've been doing it for this is game 75. So we've been doing it for 75 games this year, never mind all the games last year. But keep it going. I can't get upset anymore. I don't get riled up as much as I did earlier in the year. It's just clear that this team is what this team is. And they are nowhere near as good as what we expected earlier in the season. That's for sure. They're nowhere near as good as the upper echelon teams that are in the NHL. Okay, last week, I understand when I was away, the Jets went out and they got the point against Colorado last Friday. They went into Ottawa and they got the 2 points against the Senators, and they got the 2 points against the Montreal Canadiens. I mean, and that's all nice and good and all, and it, maybe keeps them into the playoff race for a little while longer, and it keeps things a little bit more interesting for a little while longer. Very funny, Kenny's water bottle. I appreciate that sense of humor. I'm nothing if not enjoying a little bit of self-deprecating humor, so that certainly would count as that. But it's just the Jets are let's say they're the 22nd best team in the NHL, somewhere around that number. I mean, I'm spitballing here, and you can see how far away they are from the best teams in the league. I mean, sure, they played Colorado tough last week, and I get that. You're at home, it's a Friday night, maybe you want to give the crowd a little bit of a boost, but you see it tonight. 6-1, and this game was over before it really began. I mean, a couple minutes in, and this game is already one-sided. It's not even close. Tomorrow night, you got Tampa Bay. I mean, Lord knows what that's going to look like. I mean, I would think the Jets might be able to put out a better effort just for the sake of not wanting to be embarrassed, 2 nights in a row And then Tuesday, you got, I believe it's the Rangers, and then Thursday, Carolina, or vice versa. And, it's, if anything is going to be taken by the Winnipeg Jets, and if anything is going to be taken by Jets management over these last, 9-10 games of the regular season, where they're playing some of the best teams. They showed the image. They showed the image on the broadcast not that long ago that, to end the season, the Jets play, the best team, the second best team, the sixth best team, the fourth best team, the eighth best team, the ninth best team, whatever, the exact numbers are. But, I think that should be what is management's takeaway, or what management really needs to be looking at, when you're watching these last few games of the season. Look at the best teams. Look at the best teams. Look at the Floridas. Look at the Colorados. Look at the Tampa Bays. Look at the Carolinas. What are they doing on ice strategically? What are they doing off ice that you're not doing? What, it's a copycat world. It's a copycat league. You remember for a while it was all about big and tough and physical. That was what the league was, maybe a decade ago or so. And then it was about skill and speed and dynamic play. And everybody tried to emulate those teams. The Jets need, and the organization needs, to really throw the baby out with the bathwater. Whatever they've built so far, whatever they've built, whatever they thought they had built entering this year, whatever they're still grasping onto back in 2017-18 when they made the run, and that was, the be all and end all, and the window was open, and we all know what's happened with that. It's time to do a hard reset. And I'm not saying trade everybody, because it's just not realistic. It's just not. Nobody's trading for Blake Wheeler. If you're trading away Mark Scheifele, you got to be getting something back. This team is not an offensive juggernaut. Remember, for so long earlier this year when we were talking about how difficult this team was to, how difficult it was for them to score more than 2 goals? Well, if you trade Mark Scheifele, you're going to have to find some more offense. If you trade, you're not going to trade him. If you trade Nikolaj Ehlers, you got to find more offense. If you trade Kyle Connor, you got to find more offense. You're not going to do any of those things. It has to be about the system. It has to be about some of the young players, particularly on the back end. You look at Dylan Samberg. He has to be on this team next year. But Kevin Cheveldayoff has built a roadblock there. How does he solve that problem? He thought that the solution was going to be Nate Schmidt and Brendan Dillon added on with Morrissey and DeMello and Pionk and Stanley and blah, blah, blah. Obviously not the solution. That's clear, crystal clear. It's just not good enough, the back end for the Jets. But Dylan Samberg certainly looks like a regular. Looks like a kind of guy that the Jets should be able to build upon on the back end. Ville Heinola, well, I'd like to see more of him. I know a lot of you in the chat would like to see more of him. At this point in the season, don't give me the BS. And I know the players are probably going to say it, but the organization has to know that it's not about the playoffs, because this team is nowhere near the playoffs. This team is not going to be within a sniff of the playoffs. For the while there, when they were close to the playoffs, maybe there'd be some window dressing by season's end that would say, 2 points they missed it by. So close. Well, they're 8 points out. Never mind what Dallas does tomorrow. Never mind what the Jets do in Tampa Bay. Right now, they're 8 points out. So it's not even close to the playoffs anymore. It's not even, you can't even hang your hat on, if we were a point there or a point there. Not good enough. I see people saying I should take calls. I'm not going to take calls, but ask me questions. Ask me questions in the chat. That's what we're going to do. We'll do it that way. Ask Mindell anything. Put a comment in there. You want to ask me about the Jets? Ask me about the Jets. I'll throw it up on the screen. We'll talk about it. You want to ask me about somebody else in the NHL? Throw it up on the screen. Put it in the chat. We'll talk about it. Want to ask me about anything else? You want to ask me about New Orleans? Great city. Great time. Was there for a bachelor party. Had a few drinks. Hope you're having a drink tonight. Maybe you're having 2 drinks tonight. It's Passover. That's where Dave and Ezzy are. My family Seder already happened. But it's part of Passover to have 4 glasses of wine. That's part of, the whole Passover Seder, the Passover dinner. So, bottoms up, folks. What are y'all drinking? I'm having some wine. Keeping it going with Passover. That's what I want to see. Let's have a nice conversation. Life's too short to dwell on this Winnipeg Jets team and spend more time ripping our remaining hair out. In my case, not a big deal because there's no hair left. Because we know what they are. It's not Manischewitz. That's what Chagaman's saying. It's not Manischewitz. It's good wine. It's good kosher for Passover wine. So, you know what? That's where we're at here tonight. So here's what Hugh said. Hugh's asking me a good question. Good question, Hugh. Which would be the first 2 D men you would ship out to clear cap space for young guys? I don't know what's going on with Neil Pionk. I think it's probably injury related. But I look at Neil Pionk's game tonight, especially I think it was the 3rd goal. It was the 3rd goal, which was the first Gustav Forsling goal. It came at this, 2:55 mark of the 2nd period when it was only 2-0 at that point in time. Just as the power play had ended, Gustav Forsling breaks in, and it's sort of a breakaway, but in my mind, Pionk has body position. Pionk is in a good spot, but I didn't love the effort. And I like Neil Pionk. I just didn't like the effort on that play. You take away the back. I mean, you're in position. You take away Forsling's stick there. I just don't really know what was there. And it's a nice shot by Forsling. Hellbuck might want it back, but it's a pretty damn good shot. But it's on the backhand and everything. I think that you wanted to see a little bit more from Pionk there on that play. So, going back to Hugh's question. Would I ship out Neil Pionk? Well, I think he's certainly at the top of the list as guys you'd have to consider. I think you can still build around Josh Morrissey. Josh Morrissey's, I don't think he's going anywhere. You trade Pionk though, then that leads you to, you're trading away you're trading him to get cap space. You're trading him to get a roster spot for somebody to come in there. But I don't know that necessarily is the solution. That's the problem right now. Is who's making these decisions? Is Kevin Cheveldayoff making these decisions? Is it somebody else? Is Cheveldayoff on his way out? I don't know. Earlier in the year, I would have said, yeah, I think Kevin Cheveldayoff, this would probably be his last year. Now, not so sure. We know that the loyalty, whatever that means, that True North has for certain members of their staff. It'd be nice if True North showed more loyalty to their fan base. Probably a separate issue for another day and time. But I'm not sure if Kevin Cheveldayoff's out. I'm pretty sure Dave Lowry's not getting hired full time. We've talked about that before. No disrespect. Just doesn't have it right now. I'm not sure about Kevin Cheveldayoff. And that decision needs to be made soon. If he's coming back, you got to announce that, as soon as the season's over. Kevin Cheveldayoff's still in charge. That way, at least there's no questions as to who is picking up the phone and who's taking the calls. If there's calls to be made. And there probably are calls to be made. You got 2 players on your back end in Sandberg and Heinola who need to come into the lineup. You don't have the roster jam that you have up front, or you don't have the same problem with up front guys. A guy like David Gustafsson who's ready to come in, there's room for him. Not a lot of room, not a lot of guys pushing at the forward group at the AHL level right now. I mean, Christian Vesalainen, I think that, if anything comes of him at this point, it's found money. But, you're still, you need to Perfetti, obviously, but he's not even at the AHL level anymore. So you'd expect him to be a regular with the Jets next season. Andrea's asking, would I trade Scheifele? You know, something is up with Mark Scheifele this year. I've speculated, I've said it on air, and I have no, sole evidence to this. This is just my speculation. You know, I think it had to do with the incident, the Jake Evans hit last year in the playoffs. I think there's still some ramifications to that. Would you trade him? Well, if you're trading him for as disappointing as he's been this year, and he's been woefully disappointing, don't get me wrong. What happens? Where are you filling in that spot? Where are you filling in those points? Where are you filling in those minutes? Because I don't know that. I mean, I wouldn't say Cole Perfetti's ready to step in at that level just yet. That seems like that would be a little foolhardy. Maybe not setting up Perfetti to succeed as much. You know, if you don't have that insulation there, it's time. Look, Craig Button was on the show. How many weeks ago was that? 3 weeks ago? Maybe a month ago now? Where we talked about this team and we talked about, what's the difference between the Calgary Flames last year and the Calgary Flames this year? And the only real difference in Craig's mind, and Craig is a hockey savant, as you all know that, the only real difference is coaching. What have the Jets lacked this year? What have the Jets lacked really probably for many years? Coaching. Paul Maurice had a run. Matt sort of answering Kenny's question here. What do you think the Jets' biggest issue? Coaching, chemistry, or lack of talent / depth? I think it's coaching. I think this is of course we were talking about this when I was away, on our trip. I was there with some Winnipeggers and some ex-Winnipeggers. So the Jets were a hot topic of conversation, as you might imagine. That and what are we drinking tonight? It's coaching. You have to hit a home run with the coaching hire that they do this offseason. It can't be a single. It's got to be a home run. It's got to be somebody who can come in, who's got the respect, who's got the gravitas, who's got the innate ability to get more out of this group. Paul Maurice realized that wasn't him. He's not that guy anymore. Was he ever that guy? Yeah, maybe for a year, a couple years. Dave Lowry certainly isn't that guy. So you have to go and you have to find who that guy is. And is that a guy like, is it Mike Babcock? Is it Bruce Boudreau if he doesn't end up getting hired in getting the job in Vancouver, as has been speculated that he might not be long for there? Is it somebody else altogether off the board? Is it Barry Trotz if something happens in Long Island? I don't know. I don't exactly know who it is. There's going to be options. There's always options. But it has to be the right hire. Nothing is more important from the Winnipeg Jets perspective than the right hire. I think it's even more important than, if Kevin Cheveldayoff stays or goes. I think they have to hire the right coach because there's talent on this team. Hard to see it. It's been hidden for a lot of the year. It's 6-1. The Panthers beat the Jets tonight. Might as well call this the Betway game recap while we're at it. To, sort of kill off a couple birds with one stone on tonight's Drew Mindell experience here on the Illegal Curve podcast. The Illegal Curve hockey show. The Illegal Curve post-game show. I'll be okay. The game recap is brought to you by Betway, one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both here in Canada and all around the world. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront. With a large selection of betting options in sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. Thanks to our friends at Betway for that. It is a very difficult time, I think, right now for this. This is the first real adversity the True North organization is feeling. They've been on a honeymoon. for the last decade. Nothing that they did was ever wrong. In a lot of people's eyes. In a lot of people's eyes. I'm mainly talking on the ice right now. There was always still the good faith, the belief, you'll get him next time, son. Wasn't there anymore. It's gone. It's now what have you done for me lately kind of world that they're living in. And I think they're having trouble adjusting to that. I don't think that they expected there to be this blowback. I don't think they expected to see the empty seats that they're seeing. This team's not going anywhere. They're not moving. There's no financial difficulties. Let's not get crazy. There's none of that nonsense. And is it part of that, unfortunate timing and the pandemic and, people's priorities changing? Absolutely, no doubt. But I think they're seeing now more than ever that in order to be sold out each and every game, they need to put on a quality product, a better product than they did tonight, a better product than they've done for most of this year. I mean, the truth is, and it's easy to have fun in an arena when it's 6-1. And they're having fun in South Florida, and they're having fun in Sunrise, and they're singing Living on a Prayer. And I'm singing Living on a Prayer too at home. It's a great song. Love Bon Jovi. But, why have the Bombers been successful as of late? And even before they won the back-to-back Grey Cups. 2 reasons. One, there's only 9 Bomber home games a year, 10 if you include exhibition, but forget about that. But they made it a fun atmosphere. They made it a fun place to go 9 times a year. Let's go to the Bomber game. Whatever happens on the field is sort of secondary to what's happening around. It was an atmosphere. It's a party. It's a good time. You want to be seen. You want to be there. That's where everyone's going to be, is at the Bomber game. How often do you have fun at a Jets game? Unless they're winning handily. It's been a problem this year. It's been a problem for the last few years. You go into the arena, and I'm not blaming the fans. Don't get me wrong, folks. Fans cheer when good things happen. You just don't feel the love. You don't feel as though you're going, if it was a bad play, you wouldn't keep going back to a bad play. There needs to be more in the rink. There needs to be more customer focus. And that's something I think True North is struggling with. I think they're struggling considering themselves having to fight for the entertainment dollar because they thought it would always be there for them. So how do you win back the entertainment dollar? You win back the entertainment dollar by being a good hockey team. That's what you do. By being a good hockey team. You have to win. You win, there's going to be people in the stands. There's going to be 15,000 plus there at the stands. The problem is there's too many hockey games. Now, that's a separate issue altogether. There shouldn't be 41 home games a year. It should be closer to 30 or 35 home games a year. That's no big deal. It happens. Forget it. Nothing to discuss with that. But this is a monumental offseason for True North. It's monumental from the coaching staff perspective. It's monumental from the off-ice business side of things. It'll be interesting. It's going to be a fascinating offseason. Starts in 2 weeks from today. I guess there's the other game. There's the game, that riveting Sunday afternoon game against the Kraken. Boy, that's going to be a doozy, let me tell you. After the entire season's over, you're flying Seattle here to play the Jets for a one-gamer to determine who's going to win 26th and who's going to finish in 29th spot. Hold on to your caps, folks. I hope you're not paying for those tickets, because that's going to be quite the stinkeroo. But it's going to be quite the interesting offseason as we sit here on Friday night, the 15th of April. Good evening. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the podcast. This is the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel flying solo tonight. Dave and Ezzy will be back. We'll all be back together tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. with the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. We're going to talk about tonight's game, look ahead to tomorrow's game, talk all about the Jets. We do it every Saturday morning for a couple hours. be sure to be back here 9 a.m. tomorrow. We'll be joined by Jeff Hamilton of the Winnipeg Free Press. We'll be joined by our old friend, Brian Engblom, analyst on Tampa Bay Lightning broadcasts. So you can look forward to that tomorrow morning. Let's recap some of the goals in tonight's game. 6-1, Panthers over the Winnipeg Jets. Huberdeau ×2. First one at the 2:03 mark. Second one at the 4:47 mark. Assist to Claude Giroux and Sam Bennett and Ben Sherratt, respectively. Huberdeau, first one, Dylan DeMello Huberdeau shakes off Dylan DeMello. Shot misses, hits the end boards, comes back outside. The straight-on ricochet. Huberdeau makes no mistake. Hellebuck's out challenging. He's out trying to, challenge the shot. Can't scramble back in time. DeMello, I thought, not that he was out of position, but that's part of the problem when you're fronting guys on defense. You're always in front of the forward trying to block a shot. If the shot misses, and if it ricochets off the back of the boards, there's nobody between you and the goalie sometimes. And that's what we saw in that one. 1-0. Second goal, Huberdeau. I don't know how you leave him all alone. You look back at the replay, Brendan Dillon's not going to love what he was up to there. Sort of caught between a rock and a hard place. Between taking the pass and taking Huberdeau. Takes the air instead, doesn't do anything. Huberdeau, 2-0. Tucks it in. Should have been 4-0 after one, guys. We know we know what that game was. We know that was as one-sided as it could be. The final was 6-1. Take away the 2 disallowed goals, well, that's 8-1. There was no shortage of ugliness in tonight's game. Forsling gets 2 goals in the second period. We mentioned the one just after the power play ended. The backhand. Didn't love Neil Pionk's effort there. Then, 14 minutes after that, just about, Forsling again. Coming in from the point. Always the guy coming off the bench is always the most dangerous guy. Comes in. Not a great goal. Puck looked like it was deflected maybe off Kyle Connor's stick. That's what I saw in the replay. Somebody tell me differently if I'm wrong. 4-0 after 40 minutes, and it's just a matter of, play the last 20 minutes of the game. Eric Comrie comes in. Nikolaj Ehlers, who's still one of the most underrated players. The Jets don't use him enough. Need more Nikolaj Ehlers, as we all know. I don't know why no one else seems to know that, but we all know that. Ehlers, his 26th of the year. Stasny, Pionk with the assists. 4-1. Maybe they're going to stage a comeback. Maybe they're going to give us something different to talk about. 46 seconds later, any thought of a comeback quickly ended. Mason Marchment, his 16th of the year. Mason Marchment's been a Jets killer. Talk about a guy to get it for... Talk about finding free money. Mason Marchment is free money for the Florida Panthers. 16th assist to Sam Reinhart. Then it goes to be 6-1 as the absolute final. As Maxime Mamin on the breakaway. Beautiful play by him to pick up the puck off his skates. Comes in. Gets Comrie moving from Comrie's, I guess that would be his right to left. Tucks it in 5-hole. 6-1. Assist to Mackenzie Weegar. Assist to Patrick Hornqvist. Jets showed some fight at the 20-minute mark. Some good that does. But, obviously they were a little disappointed, a little embarrassed. Mason Appleton, he went at it with Brandon Montour. You saw Josh Morrissey go at it with Gustav Forsling. Doesn't count for anything, doesn't mean anything. You're down 6-1. You lost 6-1. Show that fight earlier in the game. Look, when you're down 2-0 to the Florida Panthers within the first 4 minutes and 47 seconds, you know what you're in store for. This Panthers team is a dynamic hockey team. They play a fun style. They're go, 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 go. But they also know how to play defense when they need to. Maybe they should teach the Jets. Jets don't know that. Jets had 5 shots in the third period. Panthers had 17. It's one-sided. You can try and put as much lipstick on that pig as you want, but and my man Kevin Sawyer is very game for doing that on the broadcasts, but I mean, he's watching a different game than many of us are oftentimes, but that's okay. You know what his job is to be. You know what our job is to be. Everybody's got their role to play. You come here, you're going to get honesty. At the very least, you're going to get honesty. You're going to get me wearing a silly mask sometimes. Should I put it back on? What do you think? On? Off? Tell me in the chat. If you're sick of looking at my face, which I totally understand, I'll put the mask back on. Wine recommendations? I don't know about recommendations, just more having wine. It was another disappointing loss in a season of disappointing losses. You people can't decide. You're telling me on, you're telling me off, you're telling me on, you're telling me off. I'll tell you what. I'll put it on. We'll go to break. I'll come back. I'll put it on. We'll answer some more of those questions. Get some more of those questions in there. Whatever you want to talk about. I saw somebody asking about gumbo. Gumbo was good. I'm not a big seafood guy. But in New Orleans, sometimes you got to go with the flow, go with the territory. Good food in New Orleans. Good drink in New Orleans. Had fun. Ask me questions, folks. It's the Illegal Curve postgame show. The game recap. Brought to you by our friends at Betway. It's simple, fun, and safe to bet with Betway. So head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. We'll be back with more of the Illegal Curve postgame show right after these messages.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Boys, finding parking on game day shouldn't take longer than the Minute Minute.
It shouldn't take longer than 1 minute?
Yeah, less than a minute? I spend at least 20 driving around to find street parking, or if I'm in a rush to the game, I'll shovel out 20 at a parkade.
You're both doing it wrong. There's this app called Grid Park. It lets you find and pre-book your parking spot on game days, and you can reserve your spot up to 1 month in advance. And guess how much you'll pay?
Tell me, Dave. You know I love a deal.
Ezzy, $5.
Come on, $5?
Yeah, and it's just 2 blocks from the arena.
The Grid Park app?
Yep, spelled GRYD Park. And you know what else?
There's more?
Our listeners get their first park free with the code FIRSTPARK.
Wow, so they just download the Grid Park app and pre-book their next game day spot for free?
Yeah, you got it, Ez. Promo code FIRSTPARK. Only on the Grid Park app.
Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. 9:20 in the evening. I guess some people said wear the mask like a headband. Okay, that's what I'll do. I'll wear the mask like a headband. I don't know if you can see that on the screen. It might be too small. It's a quote from Nikolaj Ehlers. I'll read it instead of showing it up on the screen there. There you go. You can see it. Ehlers post-game, talking about fundamentals. The team's talking about fundamentals. The media's talking about fundamentals. And he was asked, so why are they still talking about fundamentals? Ehlers said, it's a good question. At this point of the year, we're pushing for a playoff spot. That's why we're not in a playoff spot. We haven't played the right way in a lot of games, and you see what that leads to. I think the easy way to put it is that we're just not playing the type of hockey that the Jets want to play and the type of hockey that you can hold everyone accountable for. And it sucks. It absolutely sucks. Followed up, what did Nikolaj Ehlers mean by accountability? When you don't play the right way, when it's not going for you, and you keep trying to push the nice plays and all of that, you're just, putting your team in a tough position. It's not just one or two guys, it's almost everyone. I don't really know how to explain it. It's just we're not playing the right way. We've got to find a way tomorrow, and that's what we're going to do. When we play the right way, we're a great team, and we haven't shown that enough. So we're going to show that tomorrow. That's Nikolaj Ehlers post-game. Thanks to our friend Murat Atesh of The Athletic for putting that out there on Twitter. Ehlers is nothing if not honest. He's just saying what everyone knows. This team has not been fundamentally good enough this year. Too many freelancers. Not enough consistency. Not enough consistent effort. Not enough everyone pulling in the right direction at all the time. That's the problem. Because there have been flashes. There have been glimpses of this team being good enough. But I think the arrogance is still strong with this team. What do they have to be arrogant about? Good question. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't quite understand what there is to be arrogant about. You lost 6-1. You're not anywhere near a playoff spot. Why should there be any arrogance in your game? Don't know the answer to that, folks. That's going to be the off season. Let's get to some of your questions. I said we're going to do that. Let's have some fun. It's okay. Not the end of the world. Sure, it's April 15th and there's more snow out than we know what to do with. It's warm in here. We got wine. Doug wants to know, would I buy out Blake Wheeler? I wouldn't. I would take the captaincy away from Blake Wheeler. Blake Wheeler's still an effective player. He's overpaid. There's no question. Not his fault. Fault of Kevin Cheveldayoff. Fault of Mark Chipman. They showed too much loyalty at too high a dollar value. I get where they came from in doing it. They thought that he was going to lead the Jets to the promised land. Hasn't happened yet. Unlikely to happen in the next couple of years, I'd say, but stranger things have happened. So no, I would not buy him out. I would reduce his influence. He can still play. When he's healthy, he can still play. He's not the same guy he once was. He's not worth the salary he's getting paid, but a buyout I don't think solves any of the problem. You'd have to fill his spot on the team. and he can still play, he can still play in your top 6. And if he's on your third line, then you got a really damn good team. So I would know Doug is the answer. I would not buy him out. Justin wants to know, do we need a whole new management core and to get a president of hockey ops? It's a good question. I've said this before on the show. I think Mark Chipman's way more involved than anyone really talks about. I think he's way more involved in hockey decisions than anyone talks about. I think that needs to all get settled out first. I don't know that a president of hockey operations is a popular modus operandi for a lot of teams, but it just, what is it doing? Is it adding a layer for the sake of adding a layer, or is it just maybe confusing the matter and meaning there's too many cooks in the kitchen? I don't know. I'm not sure how it's going to work out. I see what happened in Vancouver. Obviously, they hired Jim Rutherford, and then they got Patrick Alvin as their general manager. And then, so, what's that dynamic like? I don't know that another layer is always the option, but I think for the Jets this offseason, absolutely everything should be discussed and should be on the table and should be considered, and not just lip service consideration, strong consideration. You can't look at this year and say the status quo or a minor tweak is the solution. You got to do some radical things, whatever they might be. You might have to do some radical things. Brent wants to know, do I think Chevy's involvement with the Blackhawks scandal was a distraction to the team? And you know what, Brent? I do. I don't think it's the reason why they've struggled to this extent, but I think it certainly was a distraction. What I've learned in hockey and all sports, the teams that have the fewest amount of noise around them, noise being things that aren't related to the games, tend to be the teams that succeed the most. That's my opinion, but I think there's some truth to it. When there is noise around an organization, when everyone's focus isn't always on the task at hand, when there's other things that are distractions, and sometimes distractions might be an okay thing, but not in this case, and not often. I do think that it was an issue. You want things to be pretty smooth sailing, I think, for a team to be successful. So, Brent, yes, I do believe that the Chevy involvement, to whatever degree you believe he was involved, and I on this show said that I thought he should lose his job over it. You can go back and listen to that however many months ago that was. I do think that was a distraction to the team this year. I don't think it was as simple as blaming that for all the team's struggles, but I think that that was certainly a distraction, yes. Dale wants to know who I think are the Untouchables. Who are the Untouchables? Well, Connor Hellebuyck's still an untouchable in my mind. Because if he's not your goalie, who is? He's an untouchable in my mind. We'll see. He's only got a few years left here under contract. That'll be an interesting question to keep an eye on over the next little bit. Pierre-Luc Dubois is probably an untouchable. Kyle Connor, Nikolaj Ehlers. Nobody's truly untouchable. That, of course, is the caveat to all this. But I'd say that if you want to build a team right now around 3 forwards, and it's Pierre-Luc Dubois, Kyle Connor, and Nikolaj Ehlers, those are the only 3 you can choose, I'm okay with that. I mean, Cole Perfetti, of course, but it's, I'm talking about guys who are really contributing this year. So I'm not including Cole Perfetti in that group. So let's go with Connor, Dubois, and Ehlers. On the back end, I don't know that there's anybody untouchable. I'm hard-pressed to see a trade for Josh Morrissey coming to fruition, but he's not untouchable. I like Morrissey. I like him a lot. I like him as a person. I like him on the ice. I thought he's had a great year. But I don't think that anybody on the Jets' back end, given how poorly they've performed, could be considered an untouchable. Joe wants to know if I went to any jazz clubs. I did. I went to a whole lot of them. Couldn't tell you a name of them. Maybe there was a spotted cat or a striped piano, something like that. Spotted cat, maybe. Like I said, it was a good time. I'm not a big drinker, despite the fact I seem to be drinking on most of these post-game shows. That's a separate issue altogether we might have to explore. But we did go to jazz clubs. Went to a whole lot of them. Had a great time. Highly recommend. If somebody from the New Orleans Tourism Board is watching this and they want my seal of approval, well, you've got it. Had a great time. Ty wants to know if I tried alligator. Didn't. Nobody ordered any alligator. I would have tried it, but I don't believe anybody ordered it. I don't think we tried it. I had some goat one night. The goat was I think the first night we were there, we went out for dinner and there was goat in the meal. Quite good. I don't know if you folks have had goat before. It's quite tasty. Almost tangy little, how it was prepared. So I do recommend some goat. If you've tried alligator, tell me about it. Was it good? I don't know. T-Wheel wants me to wear it like a headband. I'm wearing it like a headband. Not sure if people are thinking I'm completely lost my mind or not. That's okay. Like I said, we're having fun. You don't often get the Drew Mindell experience. This is the Drew Mindell experience. Hope you're enjoying it. I'm having fun with all you folks. Phyllis is always here. We love Phyllis. She wants to know which players do I think have natural chemistry and should be playing together. Well, it seems like Connor and Dubois have some natural chemistry. I think that they should be a pair. I'm still not quite sure why Dubois and Svechnikov, who had success, were split up earlier in the year. Still never made any sense to me. You got something good going with a guy that doesn't cost you any money. Then you're going to move him, and he's just sort of meandered around the rest of the season. So Connor and Dubois, I'd certainly put them together and say, you're the franchise for the next half a dozen years, the two of you. Ehlers, if you want to put Ehlers with them too, sure. Got no problem with that. Scheifele and Wheeler seem like they're going to be still, together for better or worse. Mark Scheifele's, I think, a fascinating question. How do the Jets get more out of Mark Scheifele? I don't know. I don't know what the solution to that is, because what they saw this year, which just certainly wasn't anywhere near good enough. In Svech, we trust PLD. Was it a mistake to treat Svech like a yo-yo this season? You bet it was. There's no question it was. We know that. We've talked about it. Never made any sense the way they were treating him. If he started to struggle, then you make the move. He was still playing well, and then they yanked him. Coaches don't always make your life easier sometimes. When things aren't going well, sure, change it up. When things are going well, why put yourself on the firing line by making a move that backfired? Just never really understood the logic behind it. Never really understood the reason for it. Still don't. Happened many games ago. This is game 75. Well, we know what's happening. We know where the season's gone. I'm not saying that Svechnikov staying with Dubois and Connor would have changed the outlook of the season. It wouldn't. You saw the defense. Didn't matter who was playing with who up front. That defense was too terrible to get it to do anything all year long. Anyways, I don't know the answer to that one. I don't quite understand it. But like I said, that's been the case. Guitarfulness wants to know, did I go to Frenchman Street? I did. We bounced between Bourbon Street and Frenchman Street. Walking distance between the two. Enjoyed going for the walk between the two places. Could sort of sober myself a little bit. Get another boost of energy. I'm not a big music guy, as it happens. Music's not my, I enjoy music. It's not really something my life has ever revolved around or anything along those lines. But when in New Orleans and you go from club to club and one person's better than the next, love it. Love it. Jason wants to know, does Charlie Huddy get dismissed? Yeah, the entire coaching staff gets dismissed. I mean, I have nothing really negative to say about Jamie Compon, but everybody gets dismissed. You can't hold on to one but not the other. There's no reason. None of them deserve to come back at this point in time. Again, loyalty, blah, 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 blah. You've been loyal. You've done enough to be loyal. You need to be loyal to your fan base now. Do you need to you need to do something to win back the support of your fans? Bringing back Charlie Huddy is certainly not going to be the answer there. Not by a long shot. For a guy who's certainly been in the crosshairs of the Jets fan base and the crosshairs. Look, the defense is lousy. He coaches the defense. I don't have to put 2 and 2 together for y'all. He has to go. I have to go. This has been fun. The Illegal Curve post-game show in a different way. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 11 and a half hours from now. Myself, Ezzy, and Dave. The gang's getting back together, not for a post-game, but for a Saturday morning. We'll have some fun with that. Hope you guys will have some fun with that too. Come back and join us tomorrow morning. I want to say a big thank you to our sponsors. They make the post-game show, they make the Saturday show, and they make the website a possibility. Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, Bernstein's Deli, Tough Duck, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rolly's Transfer and Grid Park. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. Thanks to all of you. Some great questions. I always appreciate the interactivity. Thanks for being with me. This has been fun. I don't get to do it very often. Myself, yourselves on the other end of the camera. This weird mask that I'm still wearing, I'll take it off. You can see my pretty face. 9 a.m. tomorrow, the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Until then, for myself, Kenny and Rennie have started. Head on over there if you want a little more post-game. You can always send me questions on Twitter, at Illegal Curve. I'm at IC Drew on Twitter. Whatever you want to say, whatever you want to ask me questions. I'll be glad to answer them. Hockey-related, football-related, sports-related, pop culture, whatever it might be. Until Saturday morning, 11 and a half hours from now. Thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.